everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, October 22nd, 2017. Do you guys think that Mariah feels that maybe Tessa led her on? I'm trying to understand Mariah's whole aggressive, angry attitude toward Tessa at the beginning of the week, and I keep thinking that either it's just a matter of her being hurt and lashing out, and maybe even a combination of a little bit of immaturity in there, or if Mariah truly feels that Tessa is the one who kicked open this cold door and then abandoned her, left her alone to walk through it. I want so badly to get a better beat on Tessa's emotions and Tessa's background and what she's thinking and feeling. Mariah has opened up with us as the audience so much more than Tessa, and it has been sad to see their friendship evolve and then deteriorate. I mean, either way, no matter what the feelings are on either side, it's very obvious that these unexpected romantic feelings have jumped right into the middle of their friendship, and now it's getting harder and harder for them to even preserve the original friendship that they had. This week, with Mariah's attitude fully on display, even Sharon could see that something was going on with her daughter and that something was going on between the two girls. I think it would have been so excellent if Sharon would have figured out what's going on with Mariah and initiated a conversation with her about it. I want to continue to have Mariah open up to us about her feelings, and Kevin's gone now, so I think Sharon would be the perfect person for Mariah to talk to, and I would really be interested to hear what Sharon would have to say about it. I think those would be some really meaty, tender scenes between mother and daughter. It's really obvious, though, to Sharon and really to anybody else who's looking on, that Mariah is jealous. You know, she feels like she's on the outside of Tessa and Noah's brand new love, brand new happiness, moving in together, everything's great. And I guess Mariah just can't contain the fact that she's not pleased with it. This isn't going how she wanted it to go. Devon and Mariah and Tessa and Noah get sucked into another celebratory evening together, a double date at the Underground to celebrate the release of Tessa's new album. And it's taking everything that Mariah has to pull back on this attitude. She wants to be mean to Tessa in a way. It's like all of these feelings that she's feeling of love have turned into meanness, and she's just pointing them at Tessa, and she's like trying to pull herself back. And I think that Tessa is just trying really hard to understand what Mariah's going through. She did try to ask her last week if she wanted to talk about it, but Mariah shut that down. I think that Tessa is trying really hard to repair the friendship while, you know, Mariah is giving the attitude. But finally, I didn't expect this. The wall of silence was broken on Friday's episode. I really did not see these two having an open conversation about it, because they've been dancing around it. I mean, Y&R has been dancing around it for months now. So I was really surprised to see anything come of their conversation. Tessa starts talking to Mariah alone at the Underground about how happy that she is with Noah. She has this new life she never thought that she would have on many levels, but specifically Tessa's talking about how she never thought that she would find a man like Noah. She has had negative relationships with men in the past, and to which Mariah responds, "Is that why sometimes you act like you don't want to be with a man? Is that why in the past you acted like maybe you didn't want to be with a man at all? And that was such a big moment, and it was so weird though, because I never heard Tessa say anything like that. I never got the impression that Tessa wasn't interested in men. I don't know if that's a conversation or a vibe that Mariah got off screen, or if I was missing it, but I always took Tessa's hesitation to become involved with Noah as just her hesitation to become involved when there were so many other things going on in her life. The first time that I was even aware that there was anything possibly going on more between Tessa and Mariah was after Tessa and Noah were already involved, right? I mean, like, it was Tessa who initiated their first like intimate hairbrush moment on the couch there at Sharon's house, which could have been taken either way, really. I mean, that in and of itself seemed like a caring move, plus maybe more question mark. I don't know, but you know, if on a certain level, if Mariah did feel that that moment that created these sparks for her was Tessa leading her on in a way, I wonder if that would explain the attitude. We need another one-on-one with Mariah. Somebody needs to talk to her so she can open up a little bit more about what she's feeling. So when Mariah asks Tessa about her seeming like she didn't want to be involved with men, Tessa's response pretty much was, I care for Noah. I don't want to hurt Noah. I didn't mean to send you mixed signals. Sometimes it just turns out that the timing for these things is not right. And I thought when Tessa said that, I thought that pretty much sums up the situation perfectly. Sometimes the situation just isn't right. I mean, I've been trying so hard to understand where Tessa is coming from, because sometimes it did seem like she was open to a relationship with Mariah, but it's been quite a while. Like, ever since she really started getting involved with Noah, she's been shutting it down, which is probably the right thing to do, right, if she's involved with Noah. But I think that speaks to Tessa's frame of mind at least a little bit, that she would have been open to it, but the timing just wasn't right. Too many other things happened. That happens a lot of times with any kind of relationship. Sometimes two people just aren't on the same page, in the same place, at the same time, and it doesn't work out. That's a pretty bitter pill for Mariah to have to swallow, when this is the relationship Mariah thinks that she should have had. And this is the only relationship that made her feel fireworks. So it's hard for her to sit back and watch the person that she wants to be with someone else. The difficulty for me as a viewer in feeling more sympathy for Mariah is the fact that I don't see Tessa giving Mariah longing looks every time she turns around. I don't get the impression that Tessa feels she's sacrificing anything by being with Noah. I think Mariah feels that she's sacrificing by not being with Tessa, but Tessa seems to have made her choice. This seems to be Tessa's choice. The story would be different. I mean, it feels like it's almost like just kind of an unrequited love story. This story would be different if if Tessa, if I got the impression from Tessa that she would really prefer to be with Mariah, but I don't get that. I don't know if you guys are getting that, or if you're viewing it in a different way. I just, like, as hard as I try to look for signs that maybe Tessa would rather be with Mariah, I don't see it. I'm seeing Tessa missing her friend. I'm seeing Tessa being excited with her about her new life with Noah. Am I the only one who's reading it that way? I don't know. It was an interesting a moment at the very tail end of Friday's episode where Tessa, I think, maybe revealed a little bit of her philosophy here. She whispers into Mariah's ear at the very end of Friday's episode. She says, just be happy and forget everything else. Just be happy and forget everything else. Well, obviously, that's not possible for Mariah. For Mariah, happiness is Tessa. Happiness would be being with Tessa. Mariah's preferred outcome would be Tessa not pursuing this relationship with Noah and pursuing a relationship with her instead. So why did Tessa say that? Why did she specifically say, just be happy and forget everything else? Well, either Tessa is trying to convince herself that Noah is what she wants, that this is the life that she should have, or Tessa really does like her life right now. And I'm really curious to see what your read on this situation was this week, because I kind of feel like Tessa seems happy, Noah seems happy, Devon over here blissfully ignorant. Mariah's the only one who really seems unhappy. And there's no ability for Mariah to really change Tessa's situation. She can't make Tessa leave Noah. So if she can't change Tessa's mind, if she can't change the situation, she needs to change her own situation. She needs to think about how she's going to move forward on this. And I keep thinking that, like, the number one thing, like, if Mariah and Tessa are not going to be together right now, the number one thing that Mariah needs to focus on doing is breaking out of this ridiculous cycle of using Devon as the fallback guy. Nick could pile all of his money into a barrel in the backyard and set it on fire if he wanted to. It's his money. Yet, like everyone else in his life, Sharon laid into him this week about giving so much of it away. Phyllis, his other ex-wife, gave him a little bit of a hard time, but I was surprised that Sharon seemed to take it all really personally. She's seen the GC Buzz interview, and she goes to see Nick, and tells him, what were you thinking? Why did you give all this money away? And Nick tried his best to reassure her. I loved the line where he pretty much told her, he's like, look, Sharon, it's fine. I'm more than just a pretty face. I do have a brain in here. I invested $500 million over the course of time. There's residuals. I gave away the principal. I didn't give away the gain that I got. I thought that was funny because last week I was a little probably hard on Nick and his business acumen, but I liked that he pretty much said, Allie, I'm charming and I have a great smile and I'm good at sex, but I'm not dumb. Oh, that was really cute. But to Sharon, money, it means security for her children. She hasn't always had money growing up. This lifestyle that she lives now is relatively new to her, more so than Nick, of course. And so she didn't like the idea that all of that money is now not going to be part of her children's life. To Sharon, money means freedom for herself and for her children. And the flip side of it, of course, means that less money means less freedom for her and for the children to live the lifestyle that they want to live, to do what they want to do. I think to Sharon, being able to incorporate herself into this wealthy family has meant just, being able to live the life that you want to live and to be the person that you want to be. And it seemed very upsetting to her at the idea of giving it away. I mean, I imagine having money, it would be very hard to give it away. And that makes me respect Nick's decision even more. Even Noah came in and he wasn't happy about it either. He argued to Nick, like, why would you give all this money away when we're starting this underground business venture? And I loved Nick's point that both Nick and Noah are smart. They're capable enough to succeed in opening a series of bars on their own without having a $500 million leg up. I think the viewers and myself, I think we were all maybe a little bit surprised at the lack of support that Nick got from everyone in his life. But were you also equally as surprised at the fact that Victor seemed to react even smaller than all of the women in Nick's life? Nick has his first run-in with Victor after the interview, after the announcement that he's giving away this money that he got from Victor, this money that Victor earned. I mean, can you imagine how hard it would be to earn $500 million? And still, Victor, he took it pretty well. Nick, he admits to Victor that he gave away so much of it to Jack's charity as a way to get up under Victor's skin, but he also donated to orphanages around the world in Victor's honor. And so Nick had a very mature approach to it, and Victor just must have been in an agreeable mood, because the two guys ended up calling a truce. They decided that let's call the war off. And I can believe that on Nick's end, but to me, I think that I can see Nick wanting to move on peacefully, but it's hard to believe that Victor would be able to let it go. I'm wondering if Victor has a little something else up his sleeve, or if he's only rolling over and playing dead. I don't know. Victor does seem to be trying to bring his children slowly back into the mix of his life. On Friday, he was talking to Billy, asking Billy to help him get back into Victoria's good graces, which, as far as I'm concerned, it seems like Victor already is back in Victoria's good graces. I don't know what he would need Billy for, but Victor also had an interesting conversation with Neil, and probably it was more interesting to watch Neil's side of that conversation, because I mean, these two guys are talking about business and family and what it's like to have those two things intertwined, and Neil seems to see Victor as a cautionary tale, right? I mean, Neil does not want to follow in the footsteps of having the great big company that your children work, the great big company, and then your children don't want to work for it and don't really want to be around you. Neil made a point of saying to Victor that even though he's now involved in this Hamilton Winters group business with Devon, that even if it meant stepping away from that company, that Neil would do so if it meant that it would save his relationship with his son. And of course, the predictor in me is wondering if maybe that is some foreshadowing there, if maybe there is going to be some choppy waters ahead for Devon and Neil's relationship. Hillary seems to be turning a new leaf, and I don't think that it's an act. I think this is part of Y&R deciding to soften up Hillary's image, and I am buying it, and I'm liking it so far. I believe that Hillary does want to be respected. She's said that in the past and then done things in the opposite that don't garner her the respect, but so far so good. She is saying that she wants to stop putting GC Buzz first above the people that she could hurt, and I like hearing that from her. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I wish GC Buzz would just go away altogether. At this point, it's just become this gossip news show. I don't love the set. It seems like it's just a place for Hillary and Mariah to go at each other. I just am not feeling it. I feel like the GC Buzz days need to be on waning. Let's tear down that set, shall we? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that feels that way, but I do like seeing Hillary in a role of empowerment. I almost kind of wouldn't mind. I mean, I like her being an outsider, but I almost kind of wouldn't mind seeing her work at Jabot or something. Get in there with Jack and Phyllis, because I do really like the friendship that's developed between Hillary and Phyllis. I think those two ladies seem like two people that would really get along, that would really understand each other. And I liked that Phyllis even respected and understood where Hillary was coming from, even though Hillary was making it clear that she's actively trying to get back into Victoria's good graces, and Victoria being Phyllis's like mortal enemy of the moment. Hillary approaches Victoria with an opportunity. She wants to make it up to Victoria, the whole thing that went down with Benjamin Hockman, and she wants to offer Victoria an interview to restore her reputation, to get her side out there and undo some of the damage that was done by that Benjamin Hockman expose. Hillary gives Victoria her very best pitch about why Victoria should agree. Hillary even says, hey, look, I'll sign a contract if that's going to help you do this. I'll put it in writing that I am not going to pull any funny business. We'll just do a straight interview. You can say what you want. It was a great pitch. Hillary even picked up the check. I loved that moment. You could just feel how hard Hillary was trying. And Victoria doesn't believe her at first, of course. I mean, she would be right to be hesitant, but Victoria does ultimately agree on the condition of the written contract. Now, in my mind, that is a disaster waiting to happen, because Nick spills to Phyllis all about Hillary's pitch to Victoria. So Phyllis knows that Victoria is about to go on the Hillary Hour, and I keep thinking, what's really going to stop Phyllis from pulling a fast one of her own to make Victoria look bad on this TV program, even if that ends up like making Hillary, her new friend, look bad in the process? Phyllis is about to do something. She's gone to Jack. She's told Jack that all of this is going down, and because Jack is dealing with his family issues, he gives Phyllis carte blanche to deal with it. So I'm a little bit afraid to know what Phyllis is going to do to Victoria. And then our big Friday cliffhanger shows Victoria driving in the car. She's fresh off of an argument with Kane at the athletic club. It was so oddly filmed that you just knew something was happening. Like, it was weird. Like, Victoria seemed to be driving really fast and the background was going really slow, and it looked very digital. I didn't love the look of it. It looked very like high exposure too, and Victoria just seemed really flushed out. But basically, she's driving in her car, and then she seems to have, I guess, maybe another blackout spell, because one second she's driving and the very next second the airbag is deploying in her face. It was shocking. It seemed like a blip out. Like we were almost seeing it from her point of view, just la 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 driving, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, I have been in a car accident. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't really have any good predictions to offer, except for it was odd to see her post-crash. She's got these chemical burns on her face from the airbag dust or whatever it is. And I thought to myself, well, that's kind of bad luck for Victoria, considering she's just getting ready to release a high-profile facial mask to the public. Michael Baldwin is as much of a ray of sunshine to me as Tracy is. Just him coming onto my screen and just putting down some truth into the situation and some reality to these people who sometimes do not exist in their own realities. It's just so wonderful. Phyllis finally confides in her friend Michael about everything that happened with Billy. She tells Michael about the laptop, the trap she set, everything that's going on with Victoria, everything. And I just loved that Michael, his first reaction is, okay, I'm gonna comfort my friend. Let me first tell you, I'm sorry that you're going through this. But second of all, he just chooses to not sugarcoat it. He tells her, look, you need to stop making all of this about Victoria, and you need to address your relationship with Billy directly. Be honest with him. It is the only way that you can save your relationship. It was such good advice, and she did take it to a certain extent. She goes to Billy and she tries to talk to him, and she is baiting him again, trying to get him to open up. She knows that he's lied to her, and she wants to set a stage where he is able to at least be honest about the lie. But he just doesn't do it. It's obvious that Billy feels and is starting to feel some shame over the fact that he used her to get into to the Abbots system. But at the same time, Billy did reveal a little bit this week that helped me understand him. He really is compartmentalizing. So in his mind, even though we see it, and Phyllis sees it as him betraying Phyllis, I think in Billy's mind, he's just made a savvy business move. In his mind, this is just something that he has done to prove himself worthy of the job and the career, and being every bit as savvy as his brother Jack and as his father John. I mean, I think in maybe a way, this is Billy trying to prove himself, not trying to hurt Phyllis. But of course, he ends up looking just like a fool standing there, trying to explain himself and dancing around what he's done, when we know that Phyllis knows everything. And likewise, it makes Phyllis look a little bit like a lovelorn fool, just knowing everything and choosing to love him despite it all. It's either incredibly stupid or it is incredibly understanding and empathetic. I guess it just depends on what side of the fence you fall on as to how you see it. Choosing to love Billy despite the fact that he has lied to her. It's either desperate or it's so incredibly loving. I did really appreciate on Friday that Phyllis, now not having been able to convince Billy to open up, tries another approach, really trying to, I think, understand where he's coming from and doing her very best to get him to talk to her. She puts on her very best sexy black dress. She's flaunting herself in front of him at the dinner table. She sits down. She's being very seductive. She plays like this X-rated version of a footsie under the table. I thought that was really clever. I don't know why that spoke to me, but I just thought, because you saw her foot and you saw it going onto the table, and then you kind of saw his reaction, and I thought, well, that was very well done. I understand the situation. I understand what's happening here perfectly. I thought that was very cool. But it was pretty much Phyllis baiting Billy again. I think she was trying to understand if maybe he's just attracted to her for the danger aspect. Do I really have a relationship with him, or is he just in it for like the hot affair or the danger of using her? Like, is that where his mind is? And this was a test. This was a trap that she set that he actually did not fall into. He actually did pass this test, because rather than going along with Phyllis's little game, he pulls back and he says to her, no, I don't want to play games. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because I want our relationship. So maybe everything that happened with Ashley, everything that's happened with Victoria, everything that he and Phyllis talked about this week has actually started to cause Billy to pull himself back from the edge. I think it's going to be very telling and very interesting next week to find out how Billy handles the situation with Victoria, because if he turns around after all of this and abandons Phyllis to go rescue Victoria after her car crash, I think we'll have a much clearer picture of where exactly Phyllis ranks in Billy's life. Did Victoria really just pull Lily into her office to tell her to feel free to go after Jordan? You know, because he's an independent contractor and not an employee, so there would not be a conflict of interest, business conflict of interest, considering her new position at Brash and Sassy. Last week, Kiki on YouTube had left a comment saying she was uncomfortable by the fact that Victoria went over to Lily's house to talk about the children and whether or not they were able to see each other, and that it kind of came off as a boss pressuring an employee. Well, this week, it was like the same thing, only in the opposite. It was weird. I would be mortified if my boss ever called me into her office to discuss whether or not I could see someone. It just, that right there was, it seemed like an abuse of power. I get Victoria was probably just trying to be friendly and to try to, I don't know, maybe she was doing it to try to get at Kane a little bit, like push Lily and Jordan together because that'll really tick Kane off. But to me, that just seemed so inappropriate. Of course, I assumed that Lily was going to turn around and take Victoria's green light and pursue a relationship with Jordan, but she doesn't. She immediately turns around and gives Jordan the let's be friends speech. Did you guys see that coming? I really didn't. I mean, I thought it was going to be fair game now, open season for Lily and Jordan, but Jordan takes the news. She tells him, look, I really appreciate our friendship, but that's what it is. That's where I want to keep it. Jordan puts a fake smile on his face, goes back to the athletic club, goes right back to Hillary. Boring. I'm sorry. Boring. Hillary and Jordan are boring. Devon and Mariah are boring. This is just boring. I was so annoyed, and just the fact that it keeps going back to the same well. I was a little bit excited, thinking maybe Kane and Lily might find some common ground. I'm still rooting for them. I can't help myself. It's not over yet. The relationship isn't over yet, right? Kane finds out that Lily got this promotion, congratulates her on her new job, taking Juliet's place at Brash and Sassy, and Kane announces that he's got a new job of his own. Jill has made him the acting CEO of Chancellor Industries. Do you guys remember Chancellor Industries? We never hear that. We never hear about what's going on with Chancellor unless Jill's in town. I wish that Chancellor had more of a presence on the show. What do they even do? I mean, it's like, I mean, Kane's the lone person who works there now. That's not very compelling. Is there any chance that maybe, I don't know if this is even necessary, but is there any chance that maybe Kane and Juliet will decide to leap into the cosmetics world and take on Brash and Sassy and Jabot? There's certainly enough white hot anger between those three to start a riot. I mean, Victoria and Kane and Juliet got into a big blow up at the athletic club this week, and really it's the feud between Victoria and Kane, with Juliet inserting herself into the middle. I don't know if anybody else keeps thinking that there's just so much white hot anger going on between Victoria and Kane that maybe they might actually make a steamy couple. I guess that's my predictor mind. I'm going wild here, looking for other combos. I mean, it's probably never going to happen because Victoria and anybody would have to pry Kane out of Juliet's clutches to even get at him. Juliet's right in the middle of her high-risk pregnancy right now. She's wincing at every turn. And from Kane's perspective, I get it. He's not about to let the woman who's carrying his child live alone in a hotel when everybody in his life has been encouraging him to step it up and be a great father to this child. So Kane invites Juliet to live at the Chancellor Mansion with him. And next week, of course, Lily is going to stop by and discover that they're living together. That's so heartbreaking for Lily, just to watch Kane moving on with the life she told him to move on with. And this is, I mean, if it were up to Kane, they would be together. And it's Lily feeling that she has to put up this roadblock because she can't move forward with the reality, yet the reality is not going away. They share children together. It's not just a breakup where you cannot see the guy again. I mean, they are in each other's orbit whether they like it or not, and I just felt so bad for Lily in the preview. I really wonder if, coming off of the conversation, the Just Friends conversation with Jordan, I wonder if Lily was thinking about not going through with the divorce and reconciling with Kane. I'm sure that if she was, any of that is disappearing now. Next week, how much do you want to bet that Lily just turns around and goes right back to Jordan? Because, boring. Maybe I just find Jordan boring. I don't want to see him with Hillary. I don't want to see him with Lily. Maybe I am just bored with Jordan. He doesn't do anything. I'm waiting for him to do something. I think we need to do a similar poll as we did last week with Graham. And I want to know if the Y&R chatters even want to keep Jordan around. So that's it. Should Y&R keep Jordan or dump him? Go to yrchat.com, fire it off, let me know what you guys think. Do we need to keep Jordan or do we need to dump him like Lily did this week, but probably we'll run back to him next week? The Abbott clan is regrouping at the Abbott Mansion this week, at the beginning of the week, right after the big dinner blow up, and Tracy and Abby together learn the truth about Ashley's paternity. They are hearing it right from Ashley's mouth. They are letting this information sink in. It was interesting to see Tracy and Abby's different reactions. It's hard, I'm sure, for them to not feel at least a little hurt about being kept in the dark. But Ashley did her very best to explain it, and I love that she's in a position of trying to comfort her sister and her daughter even while she's in pain. She was trying to talk to them, and she said, look, she actually went to the mantle, grabbed a picture of John, held it up in front of Tracy and Abby and said, "This is my father. John Abbott is my father. That's how I've always seen it. That's how I will always see it. And I'm sorry that you were kept in the dark, but why would I drudge this up for you? Why would I make you keep this secret too?" I just thought that was just a really great way to explain it. And Tracy, of course, was so gracious and she understood immediately. Abby seems to be taking it the hardest. I don't know why she needs to. I get having your world rocked and everything, but I feel like Abby made it about her a little more than she should have. I guess that it's just that she already feels that she doesn't belong. I don't know why. I mean, both families have tried so hard to make her belong, but she said something to the fact like, well, I always feel in the middle, and I guess now I know who I really am. It came off a little tough for me to swallow. She goes back to the site of the party, and Scott is there. Scott sees that she's suffering. Scott offers her a shoulder to cry on, which she ultimately does accept. I'm sure that there's going to be multiple ways that Abby's world is going to come crashing down around her, and I'm sure that Scott is going to be there to comfort her, of course. I don't know where that leaves Sharon, and that makes me sad, but I think we are either going to see one of two things next week. We are either going to see this whole sex ring storyline ramp up or wrap up. Wednesday will be the very first episode that is airing under Mal Young's new head writer role. So on Wednesday is the first episode of the new regime of one. I have a feeling that he is either just going to wrap it up and say goodbye to this whole sex ring thing, or we're going to see it propelled into November sweeps. Of course, I wish that it was wrap up. But I think a lot of people feel that way. I know I'm not alone. The previews of Monday's show have Paul rushing into Crimson Lights and giving Sharon an update on the situation with Alice. I'm the worst. I just want Paul, Sharon, Scott, anyone to find Alice so that Alice can lead us to Zach. Send Zach away so that I can stop week after week embarrassing myself by calling him Kyle. The very night after Ashley's disastrous dinner party, Ashley goes back to Dina's hotel room to air her feelings. I was glad she did that. I'm rooting for Dina and Ashley to repair their relationship. We know as the audience that Dina is passed out on the floor inside her hotel room. Ashley's knocking at the door, not getting an answer. She grabs Graham in the hallway and makes him let her into Dina's room. They find her on the floor. They rush her to the ER where Stitch no longer works. Would you guys have just died if all of a sudden out of the ER would have popped out Stitch? They just wrote him off, absolutely not addressing his character in his absence whatsoever. It would have been a good tie-in for Ashley, considering they had that relationship, and he could have been there for Abby, and not gonna happen. Instead, Dina's private doctor shows up and tells everyone that Dina had a mild stroke. And of course, everybody instantly blames Graham. I loved that it erupted into even more of a little mini feud right in the hospital. I loved seeing Ashley grab Graham by his little weenie necktie. She actually lunged at Graham and just grabbed onto his necktie. Atta girl, go for the throat. Oh, the Abbots are, they are down. This is not a good situation for them to be in. Tracy and Jack and Ashley are ready to just throw Graham out of the hospital immediately, but here's the problem. In addition to being the sole beneficiary of Dina's estate, he also happens to hold her medical power of attorney. Score one, Graham. Graham 3, Abbots 0 at this point. Graham, I don't understand the hold that he seems to have on her. He goes into Dina's room. She wakes up and they do talk. They have a conversation and he tries to explain himself. He was very convincing at first, trying to tell her, hey, sure, Dina, I know. She says, I remember everything that happened. I may have had a stroke, but I remember. And he says to her, sure, well, I did. It's all true. I did hate you at first. I really wanted revenge on you at first. But over time, I really came to care about you, which, hey, maybe I would have believed if I hadn't just watched Graham walk out on her while she was passed out on her hotel room floor. Last week's poll question, my camera doesn't want to focus, sorry guys. Last week's poll, I'm bouncing around too much. Poll question was, would you like to see Graham stay in Genoa City, or are you ready to have him hit the road? 56% of you, a close majority, say you would like to see Graham stay in town. Most of everybody who voted that way sees more the potential of Graham than like thinking he's a really great guy, because at this point he is, I'm trying to figure out if they're going to make him a two-dimensional villain and write him off the show, or if they do actually plan to develop something long-term around him. If they plan to develop something long-term around him, I'm all for it, but I'm not gonna lie, at this point I'm pretty turned off of him, so I voted that Graham needs to hit the road. I just would like to see any kind of, I need to see a redeeming quality from him for just even something brief. Like, if Graham were really sincere about the fact that he used to hate Dina, but he really developed a respect for her over time, then I feel like he would have wanted to stick by her side even if she wrote him out of the will. When he returned to her hotel room before the stroke, he should have just said, I still want to, go ahead, write me out of your will. I just still want to be involved in your life. And he didn't do that. So now Ashley and Jack and Tracy are kind of stuck with Graham holding all of the cards. They have to play nice with Graham to even see Dina. He's the only one that can get into her, did I say hotel room? I hope not, because I always do. Instead of saying hospital room, I always say hotel room. He's like the guard dog of Dina's hospital room. Jack and Ashley and Tracy actually had to bribe him. They had to cut him a check to get into the room to see their mother. Even after Tracy gave this passionate, just sincere speech to Graham, like, look, buddy, I don't know you. I'm not involved in all of this whatever drama. I just want to see my mother. He turned around and still said, okay, fine, but it's going to cost you. That is so villainous. That's so two-dimensional villainous. That doesn't make me feel positive that they're going to even attempt to keep Graham around. But of course, no sooner than they hand over the money, they get into Dina's room, discover Alice style that she has disappeared from the hospital. She's gone. They spend all of this time trying to figure out how they're going to find her. They get to the airport, arrive on the tarmac just as evil Graham is wheeling her into a private jet and off to who knows where. It was so sad. I cried. I mean, the look, I don't know what it is about Dina that she just tugs on my heartstrings. The look on her face as she was just kind of like slumped over in her wheelchair and evil Graham is shuffling her onto the plane. It really broke my heart. And I mean, she's had a stroke, so she seemed like, it's weird because I assume that she's not at full capacity having had a stroke, yet at the same time, when she did come through, she very much told him that she knew everything that had happened. So I don't know if he convinced her, if she felt convinced by him. I can't see her choosing Graham over, I can't see her in her right mind choosing to stay with Graham over the 3 children. So there has to be something more going on here. He is either manipulating and using the situation with her medical crisis to get her out of town, or like, is it even more sinister than that? Is there any chance he's working in combination with this private doctor who's probably on his payroll to drug her? I just have to wrap up with one more rant. I am so annoyed with Nikki and Victor right now. Nikki is so clearly playing games with Victor and still being involved in this relationship with Jack. It is, I could not believe the conversation that they had this week. Essentially, Nikki is still completely and obviously considering a reconciliation with Victor. He is still completely and obviously considering a reconciliation with her. Victor proposes that all of the family drama will resolve itself if Nikki just moves back into the ranch. Really? After all of it, you want her to move back in? And she does not tell him to buzz off. She does not say, forget it. How about instead of that, I'll have the divorce papers delivered to you on Monday. No. She plays a game with him and she says to him, you know what, Victor, if I move back to the ranch, don't you want it to be because I choose to, not because I'm just succumbing to your will? And she said something too to the fact of like, don't you want us to get back together because of fate? What kind of junior high game are we playing here? Would you like to get Victor on three-way calling and trap him into saying whether or not he likes you, Nikki? It's ridiculous. The only thing I did really like, though, I did really like Nikki and Gloria. They had a run-in outside of Jack's office at Jabot, and Gloria was teasing Nikki about the fact that she had drinks with Victor, and Nikki's just, you know what, she knows her position. She knows that she's the one that Victor wants. So she's just like, whatever, Gloria, you think you want to get involved with Victor? Here, what? Why don't you have more drinks with Victor? She tosses down a credit card onto Gloria's desk and tells her to go for it. Can you even imagine? Like, that is so juicy. Like, I just love that level of bitchiness. To be able to just toss a credit card down and it doesn't even matter. I just thought of something. What if, you know how Victor was going to get records of Nikki, and he wanted all of her emails, and he wanted Kevin to hack her accounts? What if Gloria racks up some nefarious charges on Nikki's credit card? Ooh, and that's somehow tied in together. I'm not sure, but I don't know. It's like there's the larger part of it, I have trouble making the leap, but the little minute details of this feud could be interesting. I mean, can you imagine? Can you just imagine Nikki and Gloria and Victor in a little triangle? Nikki, she was even offering Gloria tips on how to woo Victor. It's just all a game. It really is all a game, because even though I'm open to new couples, I just don't think there's any universe in which Gloria and Victor would really stand a chance at a relationship. My sexiest quality is my ability to multitask. Last week, Michael was having a conversation with Phyllis at Ashley's dinner party, and he was just, you know, talking about why Lauren wasn't there. And it was just a quick little moment where Michael said that quote last week. I think I picked it because I'm seizing on any and all Michael moments, since we have so few of, they're so rare these days. There's just not enough Michael going on my screen right now, so I can't help but grab all of his little one-liners. So that was our Who Said It quote for last week, and only 4 people got it right, and that was kind of a hard one. It really could have been anyone, but 4 people did catch the little moment. So congratulations, Nancy, Jillian, Henry, and Sandra, you guys got it right. I like this one too for this week. It's just was a simple little moment. So, where's your halo? So, where's your halo? Who said that? If you think you know, you can go to yrchat.com and leave your guess right on the website. And if you get it right, then you too will receive your shout out on next week's Y&R Chat. Speaking of multitasking, I am a tornado head. For the last like 2 to 3 weeks, I've just been just so much busier than normal. It seems like I am, you know, busy with work, and then all these other little X factors seem to keep coming into play and just eating up my time. So I'm just going to, I pulled a good chunk of comments this week, but maybe not as many as I would have if I had a little more time. So let's get to your comments, and I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody in their good zingers and good perspectives. I'm just getting a few of them here. Let's start with Diana at yrchat.com. She says, I don't understand why Ashley, Jack, and Tracy would not be watching over their mother from outside the hospital room when Graham went in to see her first. Once again, they left her alone with him, unsupervised, knowing that he could be dangerous. Diana, I totally agree. It's the same thing as last week. They did say at one point early in the week, one of the 3 of the children did seem to, they said something that indicated that they just don't see Graham as dangerous. I think that's where the 3 children have miscalculated. They think of Graham as an opportunist, but they don't really see him as someone who could cause real harm to Dina. That's where they've messed up, because he certainly is someone who could be and is dangerous. Sandra at yrchat.com was theorizing a little bit more around Graham's paternity. Sandra says, when someone marries and has a stepchild, that stepchild keeps his or her last name unless the step-parent adopts the child. You see where I'm going with this? Graham's last name in the school yearbook was Davis, as in Brett Davis's son, not stepson. I think the reason Graham has such anger toward Ashley is pure and simple jealousy. Ashley lived a life of privilege, and her half-brother Graham was living in a car. I was very disappointed last week when Y&R chose to make him a half-brother. I would love it, Sandra, if that ended up being the twist. If you know, Graham was, I mean, he hasn't been honest about anything else that's come out of his mouth since he's come into town. So what would have stopped him from, why would he have told complete truth during his revelation of his identity? I think it's still a real possibility if Y&R wants to keep him around to make him the full brother and twist it that way. And we could be seeing that as early as next week when the new writers take over. I mean, anything is up for grabs. I remember Gary had left a comment there too, saying that maybe we still could see a twist where Ashley does turn out to be John Abbott's biological daughter. I mean, you just never know. I think that they're gonna mold it any way they want to, probably starting next week. I'd be totally up for seeing more Graham if they can just work it in. Tony at yrchat.com says, what if they made Brent Graham's stepfather because he is John's biological son? His mother could have stolen John's attention since Dina took Brent. John is remembered as saintly, but he was a handsome character, and as long as he is long gone, they can rewrite that history just a bit. That would make him no relation to Ashley, but a half-brother to Jack and Billy. A lot of story could come from that combination. I would like to see, I would like to see some different combinations and some different dynamics. I just think that they really are missing an opportunity to go in with a new Abbott sibling. It just, at this point, doesn't seem like they're going to take it, but you just don't know. Zuperplex at yrchat.com says, I do not understand why Tessa would spill the beans to Zach, given the fact that she knows full well about Zach's shady past. Obviously, this was simply a maneuver to expedite the eventual confrontation between Crystal and Zach. I thought the exact same thing, Zuperplex, when I was watching that scene. I mean, Tessa comes in and gives Zach a little update on Crystal. Come on, it's an ongoing investigation. Why would you breathe a word about your sister to this guy who you've said from the beginning you don't trust? She kind of warmed up to Zach as accepting his existence, but she and Zach are not friends. Why did she say that? Obviously, of course, it is to facilitate the storyline, but come on. Also, Gary at yrchat.com says, note to Zach, the leap from dating app to sexual slavery is small. So maybe you shouldn't go around asking folks with a nose for news like Scott, hey, how's your sexual traffic storyline coming along? Yes, that was so dumb. I mean, Scott has got to be catching on to this. There was a conversation between Scott and Zach where Zach can't stop himself. I mean, I guess that's how criminals are. They're constantly wondering how close they are to getting caught. So Zach was clearly prodding Scott for information on that story. I mean, he's got to be catching on to this, really, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later so we can get it over with. Consuela at yrchat.com says, when are Scott and Abby going to get together? I love when Scott is being sweet to her, and Zach isn't the only person who has seen the chemistry between those two. Remember the photo shoot that Jordan did in the Newman office? He kept talking about the obvious chemistry between Scott and Abby. I think it would be hot because Scott and Abby are complete opposites. He's more rugged and she's more pristine. It's gonna happen. It's absolutely gonna happen. My only question is, where does it leave Sharon? hopefully somewhere good. Melissa at yrchat.com left me a funny comment saying, "Oh my God, Allie, my eyes cannot possibly roll far enough back in my head watching Noah and Sharon get all pissed at Nick for giving away his trust fund. Oh, what if I need more money, Dad?" I don't know, Noah. What do you think anyone else does? Get a job, maybe? You've had everything handed to you your entire life. You want more? How about being proud that your dad gave money to people far less fortunate than you? And Sharon was even worse. You would have thought that Nick had done something horrible. Ugh, what a weird and frustrating storyline. It really kind of is a little surprising. Sharon has been so supportive lately. It was specifically weird to me to see that she had the reaction that she did. I mean, I'm trying to see her point of view, but yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is once you've got money, it probably is really hard to think about parting with it. Oh, let's see. Ellen at yrchat.com says, "I am dreading the reunion of Devon and Hillary. Within a week or two, she will be back to treating him like dirt and being selfish, greedy, and manipulative. Devon will again be weak and foolish. It's too bad that Mariah's confusion / feelings for Tessa ruined her relationship with Devon. They could have been good together. Maybe it will be worth it, though, if the Mariah-Tessa story goes forward. However, it seems in general that the writers want to put the same old couples back together. Boring." I mean, the boring thing, yes, you got me there, Ellen. It just does seem like we need something fresh. We need something interesting. It is annoying that I just keep thinking about like Bold and the Beautiful. They've been mixing up couples right now. Y&R does seem to want to go back to the stale, which as much as I love my classic couples, there needs to be something, some conflict, some question. It just feels all very written in stone. With regard to Hillary and Devon, I personally am wanting that reunion, but I almost wonder if it's possible that the conflict between Devon and Neil that we talked about earlier might possibly be about Hillary. I mean, once again, though, that is completely going back to what we've already seen. But Neil got up on Hillary pretty hardcore this week, telling her that she needed to not air that footage of the Abbott dinner. So it's clear that Neil is not a fan of Hillary. I wonder if that's going to be causing problems for him and his son down the road. Harper left me a voicemail saying, "I'm really ready for Mariah and Tessa to just break up with the boyfriends and be together." That's the beauty of Y&R. They've always tested the limits. I know a lot of people might not be happy with it, but I'm all for it. That's what I love about Y&R. That's one of the things I love about Y&R too, is just keeping things fresh, keeping things interesting, keeping viewers guessing. And just from a selfish perspective, I like things that keep us chatting. I like things that are topic worthy, where I'm like, oh, it's Sunday, I can't wait to talk about this. So that's where my interest lies. Last comment, Sandra at yrchat.com. I had to mention this too because Sandra says, "Watch out, world. After being smacked in the face by an airbag, I have a feeling Victoria's evil twin will be born." Do you think so? I mean, we've been flip-flopping on this Victoria blackout thing for so long. When is Y&R going to make a decision about what's going on with her? I don't get it. I feel like I don't get the whole blackout thing. I don't know where they were going with it. I don't know what I'm supposed to think about it. Does the woman need medical attention for that? Is there any chance that the airbag thing will cause her to go get some medical help and we can resolve what's going on with her blackouts and finally get some treatment for that? I mean, or is this going to be maybe something that can bring bring Victor and Nikki back together? There's a world of possibility as far as where they're headed with this Victoria car crash. It came very out of nowhere on the Friday's show. Sandra's predicting that it might cause a personality change with Victoria. What are your predictions for where we're headed next week? Leave them today. Let me know. Get your prediction in before we get Monday's show. Tell me where you think we're headed with Victoria's accident. Okay, everybody, I've got a million things I've got to do, so I've got to get going. But I hope that you enjoyed our Y&R chat. Hope that you enjoyed the show this past week and that you come back next week, watch the show. It could be fresh. I want to know if we see a difference on Wednesday's episode. Let's tune in specifically and with an eye and an ear open for Wednesday's episode, and then we'll come back next Sunday. We will chat about it all, and in the meantime, you can go to yrchat.com to get in your comments, vote in the poll, all that good stuff, or you can call into the voicemail 309-588-4569, and I will probably do a better job of getting more comments in next week. Hopefully things will be a little less busy, but we'll see. Okay, everybody, have a good week. I love you all. Bye.